It's that time again, another episode of the Delco Duo. I'm one half of the Delco Duo, Monica Cryan.
And I am the other half of the Delco Duo, Jenna Meisner. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your Saturday night with us.
Solving problems, because that's what we do here on the show.
That is what we do.
We take submitted problems to us and one of our own problems, and then we offer little advice, or if not, just like we talk about it.
We give you our 2 cents. So
Yes.
Keep sending those problems in. We have a great group of issues to solve tonight. But before we get to that, Monica.
Yes, we've got the debrief.
We do.
Don't forget about it. So tonight's debrief, you may notice a little bit of a change up in our aesthetics.
We're big time, baby. The Delco Duo has gotten a few upgrades to our set.
Yes.
So let's talk about them, Monica. I think the one you're most excited about are these gold microphones.
I love
You won't
this.
stop talking about the gold microphones.
They're so pretty. I love them. They just go with our whole aesthetic. I think right now is purple and gold. I don't know how we,
We are glamorous ladies.
you know us, the Delco Duo. Always is hand in hand with glam.
And Monica keeps saying that these are great for our radio show. So Monica doesn't even know what kind of show that we do here because
This is
clearly you're
television.
watching us on television. So these are great for our television show.
We're a podcast and we are TV. We are not radio, but I keep calling us a radio show.
Well, we're a podcast at heart. That's how all of this started. And then, someone approved for us to come to your television screens. Don't know who approved that, but we are happy that they did. And you're also drinking out of our new mugs. Take a look at these.
So cute. They say the Delco Duo. Love these mugs. Something to hold water in because a lot of times
You haven't quite figured out your straw yet, though. That is a very large straw for a small mug.
I don't think you figured out your straw. You're using the Wawa straws.
Mine's from the break room. I don't want to hurt any turtles, but
I got one of those fun fake straws, and then we got a new table.
It's gorgeous. The bottom of it's gold. I know you can't see that, but really all you need to worry about is the marble.
We're still working on the back. I think
Don't worry, the back's coming.
Yeah, I think just what this goes to show is our show continues to evolve. We're trying to find the upgrades, and people are writing in and telling us how they like it, and we love to hear it. Keep sending your feedback.
Yes, and we did get one comment that actually made me chuckle a little bit. Monica posted a clip on her Facebook page, and somebody commented and said, "Who is dressing you guys?" So we are dressing ourselves. This is a low budget
They must not
operation.
watch the morning show. Like, if you know our morning show and you know the Delco Duo, no one is dressing us, okay? This is out of my closet, clearly.
And it's
The
meant to be
shirts.
relaxed, okay? I think his name was David, okay? David. So
No one's
just
dressing
relax.
us. This isn't like our friends down the road, okay? But obviously our show's doing really well.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
because
why
we're
would we
getting
get all these
upgrades? So
And
thank
now
you.
our biggest competition over on Peacock is going out of business.
Keenan Thompson is feeling the pressure of the Delco Duo.
Yes, he is.
He had come out and said, I think it was the 2024-2025 season of SNL that they might have to just call it quits. And I think that he feels that way because we came on the scene.
We would be the show 11:30 Saturday night. So tell your friends because you might not have anything else to watch.
Or don't tell your friends because maybe we're talking about your friends because you submitted an issue with them. So we might be talking about your coworkers, your neighbors. So be careful who you tell to watch because if you submitted an issue, we're probably going to talk about them.
But we're going to help you any way we can. Let's get to our first issue tonight. Beth from Boothwyn asks, am I justified for never seeing my guy friend as anything more because of something that happened when we were younger? Okay, Beth, that first initial reading, I was like, oh God, what happened when you were younger? That
Right,
scares
it's
me.
very mysterious. It's very ominous.
But in the extra write-up,
Yeah,
goes
so
on
she
to say,
explained a little bit. So she says, when I was younger, I used to have a crush on my guy friend, and even into adulthood, I did for a little bit. However, I resolved to never date him because when we were younger, he adopted the whole, I don't want you, but I don't want anyone else to have you attitude, and that really hurt her feelings, and she's carried that into her adulthood. So there's multiple parts to this.
But why are you still friends? If that hurt you so much, why are you still friends with him? And then now that everybody's gotten older and more mature, can't you see that maybe he's not like that anymore?
He's outgrown that.
Yeah.
So let's first talk about that attitude because I want to know your take on the I don't want you, but I don't want anyone else to have you. What does that mean in your mind?
I don't understand that feeling. And I've never really seen it. I've never seen any of my friends go through it or me or anyone.
You've never seen any of your friends go through that?
I don't want you, but I don't want anyone else to have you. I don't understand that.
I take that as like leading somebody on because you don't want to date them, but you don't want that, or an ex-boyfriend. Okay. You don't want to be together and you don't want the relationship, your relationship's not working and you don't want it, but you don't want that person to date anyone else. So you sort of hold on to that person and you prevent them from moving on with someone else. So I don't want you, but I don't want anyone else to have you.
No, I felt like all of the I don't want yous were just I don't want you. Somebody else can have you.
I don't want you, period. Dot. Call it an end of the day.
All of my girlfriends were kind of, we're a bit over the top. So every guy that ever broke up with us was like, please. Oh, gosh.
Okay. I feel like this is very common.
I guess leading on.
It is. Leading on. It's it's a toxic relationship when you don't want to be with someone, but you still don't want them to move on and enjoy a life with someone else.
Right.
So how young were they when this had happened? Because it makes you think they're like 10 years old?
That's what I thought.
It sounds like they're really little, but this idea is definitely they have to be teenagers.
But I definitely would at this point is, search back into the relationship, see if maybe this other person, Beth's friend, has grown up. Maybe they have, and they understand that that's a toxic relationship, and then they're not like that anymore. I wouldn't totally write it off because of something that happened 10, 15 years ago.
Well, it seems like she actually still likes him a little bit, and she's just holding on to this.
Yeah.
Life's too short, Beth. You gotta do what Monica said and figure out whether or not he has changed.
Yeah, I would see if he's changed. I think people can grow. It happens.
And if he hasn't changed, then maybe you shouldn't be friends anymore.
And right. I think that's the whole thing that I'm having a hard time with is that, she says that it's her really good guy friend. Well, why are you friends with them if they hurt you so much in the beginning?
Well, maybe
if
he
you
has
can
no
move past
idea.
it to be a friend still, you can maybe move past it to...
Maybe he doesn't know how deeply that he hurt Beth, but it seems like she still has feelings for him and that she should explore those.
I would explore them, Beth.
And if he's still acting like he did when you were 10 years old, then call it a day.
Yeah, then you are absolutely done. But second chances never hurt.
But don't be that person. Don't hold on to someone if you don't want to be with them anymore. Just let them go. Let them fly. Okay?
All right, we have another issue coming up after this.
Has to do with cities in the suburbs and bakeries.
There's a lot to dive.
Are you confused? We are too. There's a lot. Stay with us.
We didn't even cheers to it.
Cheers.
This next topic might be a bit confusing because someone wrote into us from Chester County, but obviously on this show, since it is the Delco Duo, we're saying that everybody that writes in is from a Delco town. So we've got Danny from Drexel Hill.
Yeah, and Danny sent us 2 different emails, and we are combining them into one. So that's why this is a little scattered.
A lot to digest.
But we wanted to touch on both of these. So Danny says, it seems like every town in Chester and Delaware County is being built up. They're starting to look like cities. Also, where are all the bakeries?
Also, P.S., by the way,
I'm concerned about the brick and mortar bakeries.
Right.
We're here to help you out, Danny.
Right. And I do think that kind of does now, they do go together. He's wondering, where the brick and mortar mom and pop shops are going and why everything is being so built up, so commercialized kind of thing.
Right. So he goes on to say, I've lived in Chester County for 35 years. Mm-hmm. One thing that I miss is real brick and mortar mom and pop bakeries. Are there any around? And why aren't there more of them? Yes, there are some around.
Yes, I've never felt like I'm like, oh, I want more bakeries. I've never had that inkling. So I'm kind of thinking, Danny from Drexel Hill, you love yourself a bakery because I've felt like they're,
Danny values
very
quality. Mm-hmm. Danny doesn't want the bakery that's popped up. He wants the mom and pop. He wants that old brick oven. Like we're talking like the Cash's oven that's been there since the original, like the one in Philadelphia.
I feel like there's a lot around. There's definitely a lot more in Philly.
Yes.
And in Delco, I think there's a good amount too.
Yeah, we were talking about a few of them before the show. Traub's Bakery.
Right.
That's one that's been around for a long time in Prospect Park.
Yeah, I love Carlino's, but maybe what Danny doesn't realize is a lot of these bakeries bakeries are a lot more than bakeries. Like we were talking Collegeville, their
Yes.
slogan is much more than a bakery. Carlino's bakery is one of my favorites, but
Well,
you can
that's
get
what-
so much at Carlino's,
Yes.
it's overwhelming.
You need to decide, like, is he talking about bakeries that are sweets, cakes, you know, all donuts, or is he talking about bakeries that are brick oven pizza and rolls and breads? He did not specify what kind of bakery he's looking for, so it's a little bit hard to help.
Right.
But we can give you some ideas.
Right. So those are my favorites. I'm not necessarily too familiar with Chester County's bakeries, but I can see there not being as many.
Yeah, well, they have Yuri's. I was talking one of our producers upstairs. He lives in Chester County, and that's in downtown Westchester. So Yuri's, I know, is a popular one. The Masters Bakery, I think that's a newer one. I actually had a part of my wedding cake was from the Masters Bakery.
You mean part of it.
So remember
Just
we
the
had
bottom tier?
no, we had our main wedding cake, which was
right.
Termini
You did
Brothers, and
yes.
then we had a grooves and a bride's cake, which were a surprise.
Termini Brothers is another goodie.
Yes, Termini Brothers, of course, they're a staple as well. But it depends on where you also live in Chester County, because there could be some remote areas of Chester County.
Right, and you're just not going to find like a mom and pop.
Right.
But really, how far do you have to drive to get to that mom and pop brick and mortar
He's
bakery?
looking for the Keebler Elf.
Yes. He wants, well, this is what we were joking about, because he's complaining that it's too overpopulated and too commercialized now, but then he wants more mom and pop brick and
He
mortars.
wants the Keebler Elf.
What it sounds like is you want a bakery in a forest, and our boss was like, that's the Keebler Elf. So,
Yes.
but
So maybe the Keebler Elf's out there, but let's get on to the second part of this, the overpopulation. So he also says, it seems that every town in Chester County is being built up with 5-story tall, overly priced apartment buildings. Our once rural county is starting to look like a city. Honestly, I'm sure Delco back in the day was more beautiful than the steel and concrete city it is today. Oh my gosh.
well,
Jeez.
I think it depends on who you talk to. So I have, growing up in Delco, my cousins and I now all still live in Delco, and my cousins are really upset by how much less green space there is in Delco. To me, growing up here, I always thought Delco was like part of the city. And, you know, like we live so close to Philly that to me, the more population, the more stores, the more this, that, I love it. I love being a part of a crowded area.
But if you're not someone like that, I can
Yes.
see how it can be really unsettling. There was a new apartment building that went up near downtown Media, and my husband Tate and
So
I,
many.
we were looking at it, just curious, like, oh, I wonder how much those go for.
Not
and they're
affordable.
really expensive. But he's saying overly priced, like that's true. Like some of these places are so expensive.
Well, I think everybody thinks, used to think, oh, it had to be the standalone homes. But now the big thing are these townhomes.
Yeah.
Sharing walls is totally in, and they're
I
just
do
as
feel like
expensive as these standalone homes.
Chester County, though, there are still some areas of a lot of green space. So
There's a lot of greens. I mean, sometimes I'm driving out to like Malvern, and I'm like,
Yes,
why are
fields.
there so many horses?
Sugartown Road,
Oh.
fields and fields and fields.
I feel like I'm back in like 1776. When I drive through Sugartown, I'm like, where are we?
So I don't think we can necessarily solve like the overpopulation, Danny. That is just what's happening.
But Danny, a lot of people feel the same.
Yeah.
I think not necessarily me. I love feeling a part of like a bustling city kind of life, and but I know a lot of people in Delaware County specifically are like, there's no more green space,
And they're trying to move to areas of Chester County, but now Danny's
Delaware.
even saying, yeah, straight up into the state of Delaware.
straight up into the state of Delaware.
So-
They've got a lot of space out there.
All right. Well, hopefully that helped. Find your
Yep.
Keebler Elf and get your cupcakes. All right. Coming up next, we have one of our own issues that we are going to be bringing to the table.
This is a fun one. Yay! Stay with us.
And welcome back. You are watching the Delco Duo on your Saturday night. Hope you're having some fun with us.
Right, so we've had 2 issues, and now it's time for one of our own issues, but I wouldn't necessarily call this an issue. Meisner needs an advisor. Because you don't need an advisor, you're being the advisor.
I'm advising.
You're advising after all of your
Wisdom. So I'm wearing a special
long
shirt
marriage.
today. Can you read it? It says,
You can't.
wifey.
Wifey.
So the reason that I'm wearing this special shirt is because we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary.
Wow.
It's been a
1
whole
year.
Yeah. So September
That's amazing.
17th, 2021 is when we got married. So I'm sure you were there. You
It was
remember
amazing.
how much fun you had. And we have some of the pictures actually.
It was a amazing wedding. Like, you can't even call it beautiful, because I take like beautiful weddings as like really classy. It got real messy at the end.
the more you drink, you know.
It was so fun.
Yeah, so here are some pictures as we take a look back on the year ago today of our wedding. So it was just such a wonderful
the Philly shot.
Yeah, every bride, if you get married in Philadelphia and you don't do that shot, then
Like, did you do it at all? Oh,
that's the messiness that Monica was talking about.
messiness. Totally sober Sally.
Yes.
I was the only one
9
there.
months pregnant.
9 months pregnant. I actually thought the next morning
Mm-hmm.
I was going to go into labor. I danced so much that night.
Yes.
My whole body hurt horribly. I thought, oh my God, Jenna's wedding
feet.
put me into labor.
But you were ready, so I mean,
Yeah.
at that point, it wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world.
No,
you were
I
ready
was
to have that baby.
I was ready, but yeah, it was a wild wedding, so much fun. But now you've had a whole year of marriage, and some people say, the first year is the
Yes.
hardest, which I always think is so interesting.
It is.
You think?
No, I'm saying it is interesting that people
That they say that.
Yes, I think it is interesting that people. I can understand that. I mean, some of the older traditions, I guess, like you don't live together until you're married.
Right. Oh, that's
I
true.
could see that being the reason why that's a saying.
You guys lived in sin a little bit before that, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, we did live in sin. Thank you, Monica.
Jenna is cringing.
I am cringing.
So is
you
her
sound
mom.
you sound like my Catholic school teachers growing up.
Everybody's living together now before they
Yes.
get married. I think
Right.
it's and then that's what actually takes the pressure off
That's
of the
what
first
I mean.
year.
The first
Yeah.
year, if you get married and then you move in together for the first time, I mean, that's a lot.
Yes. So it definitely for us, because Eugene and I lived together before we got married, and the first year definitely wasn't the hardest. I'd say the
No.
first year after the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. So
That'll send you right back.
I have some takeaways from the first year of marriage. I have three
I'm
of
excited to see
them.
these.
So here's my top 3. 1, the transition from being in a relationship to marriage doesn't feel that different. Everyone's
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, how do you feel
being
You're
married.
married now. And I'm like, I feel the same. I got another ring, and that's about the only difference
Yeah.
I feel. Like, I don't feel like there's that big of a difference.
Okay. Let's talk about 2 and 3 in the
Okay.
middle.
It's okay to be wrong, just never admit it.
It's wild.
That's me. That's me. I'm a stubborn Taurus. If you follow horoscopes, I am a Taurus, and I am extremely stubborn. So it takes a lot for me to say, yes,
Yeah.
this was my fault.
And the third is my absolute favorite.
And the third one, sometimes you will go to bed annoyed. If I hear one more person say, never go to bed angry,
That's the stupidest.
no, I'm going to go to bed angry.
Yeah. You can have feelings. You don't
Yes.
have to lose them just because you're putting your head on a pillow.
I think that's the number one tip. You're so irritated by that.
I just hate that tip.
I can tell how irritated you are. I think that's the number one piece of advice that people give when you're at a wedding or when you're at bridal showers and you write like on the advice cards, never go to bed angry. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Stop.
It's a really bad suggestion, because I think then there's so much pressure to solve the problem right then.
It's only gonna make it
before you
worse.
go to sleep. No, and then
I'm
it gets
tired now,
worse.
and I'm gonna be even more irritable.
Let me sleep on it. Whatever happened to that? Let me sleep on it. The next
Exactly.
morning you wake up, you're like, all right, I'm still irritated. We'll talk about it again. We'll visit it again, but I've got a clear mind.
Well, I'm one of those people that if we're having a disagreement, like I can go to bed and wake up and it's fine. Like we don't need to talk about it. If it's something minor,
Yeah.
obviously if it was a bigger problem, you need to sort through it.
Right.
But if it's something minor like a dumb fight, then I can just go on with my day. Tate,
agree.
though, he's someone that needs resolve. He needs
Right.
to talk through everything, and I do think he follows the mantra of like, we shouldn't go to bed in this spot, because I can fall right asleep, but he'll be up for like hours thinking about whatever we were disagreeing about.
Yeah.
So it's tough when we're both so different in that way. Because
I think, you know, it also takes time too. So like you guys have only been married for a year and you're saying Tate still needs to resolve things. I think after 2-3 years,
doesn't care anymore.
Tate's going to be like, I don't care to resolve
Yeah.
this.
Right.
It's exhausting to have to resolve every single problem. Like after a while, you kind of just get tired and you move on.
We always talk about like pick the battles you want to fight. I feel like the first year of marriage, you feel as if you need to fight every battle.
Right.
Because you're like, we just got married. We're in the newlywed phase. Like, we have to solve every single problem that comes our way. I really never had that standpoint. I'm like, okay.
The only thing I would disagree with is number 2. You can be wrong, but just don't admit it. I think for me, one of the best things that I have gotten better at is admitting I'm wrong. I think it makes you.
You've gotten better at.
Yes.
See, your first year of marriage, though.
Yeah, I probably was terrible at it, but I think Eugene really started to appreciate when I was admitting that I was wrong. I could see it in his eyes. He would be like, oh, wow, she just admitted she was wrong.
If you have any tips when it comes to marriage or you want to look back on your first year of marriage, you can always reach us, Delco Duo at phl17.com or on social media. All right, Monica, it's time for Delco Trivia. Woo! Everyone loves this.
Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Here's the question. What library, or library, if you want to say it in a Delco, what library in Delco is the oldest public library in continuous service in the entire United States?
Oh, all right. All right, hope you had time to think about it. What library in Delco is the oldest public library in continuous service in the entire United States? Who knew? There's so much.
US of A.
The Darby Free Public Library is America's oldest library in continuous service. 1743. That's older than our country. That's older than our country.
I didn't know what you were going to say. I'm like, it's pretty old, but what's it older than?
Nothing other than our country.
Yeah, so that's like right along Main Street in the Darby borough. So that's really cool.
That is really cool.
So much history.
Now I'll be honest, I've never been to that library, I don't think. So now I got to go visit.
Yeah, you
That's
can.
really,
it's
really
an
cool.
operating. It's not like it's a museum or anything. Like it's an operating library. You could go.
It's older than the Philly library, right?
Which Philly library are you talking about? There's a few.
The big one next to the Ben Franklin Institute. Yeah,
yeah.
That's crazy.
It's the oldest in the US of A.
Yeah, I can't even believe it. Did you go to the library growing up?
Not really.
No?
But the Scholastic Book Fair.
Same thing.
That was my jam at school. Like outside of school, I didn't go to the library.
Oh,
really.
I did all the time.
But
I would go to the Havertown Library all the time, or Media's.
with your friends, or what would you do?
No, I would go and study by myself. That's where I would go to my mom would bring me to the library all the time to go. We would rent books, and then they also had, this is like so old school, they had computers there, like before my family had.
Yeah.
And they had like fun like learning games, so I would go and play on the computers while my mom went and rented books and CDs. My mom rented CDs all for the car.
Young Monica. That's why you're so knowledgeable today. We got to thank the Havertown Library for that. But yes, check out the Darby Free Library. Again, that's in Darby, Pennsylvania. It's probably really cool. I'm sure all the people that work there know a ton about the history and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm sure the building's really cool too. Okay.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in. Please send your ideas, your
comments, concerns, anything. We'll read anything.
Yeah.
We talked to some of you, so thank you so much.
I email back every so often.
You do.
Delco Duo at phl17.com or visit us on our social media. Yep, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Monica PHL17.
All right, that's another episode of the Delco Duo. Hope you enjoy the rest of your night.